Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the March 25th San Diego Riverside Charter School uh, Board Governing Council meeting. It's now 6:05 p.m. on Tuesday, March 25th. And the first item on the agenda is call the meeting to order and make sure we have a quorum. So we'll go ahead and do a roll call here. Let me get that. David Toledo.
Present.
Okay, Susan Baca.
Present.
Okay, Margie Creel, present, and Kiani Upshaw Toya. She's not present yet, but she's said she was gonna try to get on, and then LaDonna Sando says she doesn't have a link. Can someone send her the link? Jensen sent it to all of us in an email. I don't know if she doesn't have email or not, but
It's
I'll see
also
if-
I don't have her number, but if you want to just tell her if she goes onto our website and it shows the governing
Mhm.
meeting, and
We don't use that website. Sorry, it's hard. I'll try to get it for her. So that website's hard for us to navigate through. So, okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and get it to her. So, but we do have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is for the approval of the agenda. If everyone could take a look at it. And it was a long one. And I need a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Right, Susan Baca made a motion to approve the agenda for tonight, March 25th agenda. Do I have a second?
I second it.
David Toledo seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Mark.
Any opposed? I have to go
Aye.
by person.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do a roll call from here on out.
Okay, David, do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, Susan, do you agree? Yes, she made the motion. So. And then Margie Krill, I agree. And the other two aren't on yet. So motion carries. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. We were sent the February 1st, 2025 meeting minutes. If you could look it over and make sure that we have to make a motion in a second to accept those meeting minutes. We're looking over the meeting minutes. Joe Dan, can I ask you, if someone makes a motion in a second, then I still have to call their name and roll call if they accept, if they're in favor of the vote?
That's correct. That's for anything that you're gonna vote on or approve.
Okay. Okay, because if anyone uh, can make a motion to accept the February 1st meeting minutes. Mhm. Can somebody make a motion for the February 1st meeting minutes?
I make a motion to approve the February 1st.
Okay, David
meeting.
Toledo made a motion to accept the February 1st meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Margie, we're gonna have to put this on pause for a second. We
Can't
do
hear
not
you.
have quorum.
What was that?
I don't
We're
see
gonna have-
Susan on there.
Susan dropped off, so we're gonna have to wait until she gets back on to have
Oh,
quorum.
darn it. Okay. Let me see if LaDonna's getting on, because I did cut and paste a link to her text message.
All right, let the record show that LaDonna has joined our meeting.
Thank you for that, LaDonna. I'm glad you're on. She missed roll call, but she is present now as a board member, and Susan Baca lost connection. Looks like she's trying to get back in. So we're voting on the February meeting minutes. And so David made a motion to accept the February 1st meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Hey, LaDonna. Pasando second the motion. So all in favor, David, are you in favor?
Yes.
LaDonna, are you in favor?
Yes.
RG Krill in favor, aye, and Susan's not back yet, so motion carries. All right, in the next item on the agenda, we're going to be voting on the new governing council member. So I'd like to welcome Patrick Segura. If Patrick, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself here for a second, while the board's here.
Sure. So my name is Patrick. I'm from a small town near Santo Domingo and Coach D Pueblos. I went to school actually on Coach D Pueblo until 8th grade and went on to graduate from Bernalillo High School. From there, I went to the University of New Mexico and got my degree in political science, pre-law, and Chicano studies. I was in law enforcement and a first responder for 20 years. Went back and got my master's from Purdue in criminal justice. I was an instructor at the Law Enforcement Academy, and I'm still an instructor for law enforcement services for New Mexico. And I worked at Turquoise Trail in the middle school, and then subsequently for 5th grade. And that was Spanish and culture. And currently, I'm the security manager at the Kiwa Health Pueblo Corporation in Santo Domingo. So that's where I work now is the head of security there.
That's awesome. I appreciate you being here and wanting to join our board. We'd like to welcome you. So, Jodan, do we make a motion to vote him into the board, or do we just ask if we're in favor of voting him in, or how
Yes,
should we go about that?
yeah, somebody would make the motion, same thing as usual, vote, and then roll call vote, and he's in, and then any items moving forward, Patrick will be able to be a voting member moving forward.
Okay, great. All right, so anyone on the call from the board want to make a motion to accept Patrick Segura as a board member for San Gabriel Riverside Charter School?
I make a motion to accept Mr. Patrick Seguro to be on the San Diego Riverside Charter School Board.
Great, David Toledo made the motion to accept Patrick. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, LaDonna Pasando seconded the motion. All in favor, say aye when I call your name, David Toledo.
Yes.
Okay, and LaDonna Sando.
Aye.
Hey, Margie Krill, aye. Motion carries. All right, and the next item on the agenda, welcome, Patrick. You can now vote and make motions and everything, and I so appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I look forward to working and collaborating with everybody and putting the children first and in the best interest of the community. I'm big on community and culture and language, and this is very exciting for me. So thank you very much for providing me this opportunity.
So happy to have you. The next item on the agenda is the Finance Committee report. We have Angie Lerner, I believe, and a new person. And if Angie could let us know about Greg and introduce the new K-12 accounting person that we're going to have. Go ahead, it's your
Sure. Can you, or whoever is the host, can you grant me access to show my screen? So Greg has left K-12. He is actually going to be an auditor. For the people that actually were our auditors this year. But he gives you guys best wishes, and he said he definitely still wants to come around and see some of your track and field stuff and cross country and possibly volleyball games. So he said he will not be a stranger. And I'm still going to be helping out like I usually do with Greg. But now it's going to be with Aaron. Aaron has been working with K-12 for I believe 3 years.
It's about 2 years, yeah.
Okay, 2 years. And so basically it's going to work the same. I'm going to present today so that Aaron can kind of see how you guys like the board presentation. And then I'm going to still be helping with the budget and meeting with Joe, Dan, and Aaron to finalize the budget for next year. And I'll come to the next meeting for sure to help. But I'll let Aaron present, but I'll help him out if he needs any help. And then I can just come to the meetings whenever you guys need me as well. But Aaron will be taking over that spot again. But yeah, you're in good hands. And I'm still helping out like normal.
Thank you, Ms. Lerner. Appreciate that. And welcome to Aaron. And also, I'll go ahead and let you get started. Do you know if we have any bars today?
We do. So currently I'm just gonna go over, I don't know, Greg didn't CC me on what he sent you, but we're gonna just go over and I'm gonna show you the January accounts, the January cash disbursements and bank rec. And then I'm gonna show you the rest of the packet that has the financial stuff and the cash disbursements for February and bank rec. And that's only because since our board meeting in February was on the 1st, there was no way to get the bank rec done in time because the bank statement wasn't even out yet on February 1st. So I just want to make sure that we don't forget the January stuff. So we're going to be approving January and February cash disbursements and bank rec. So I'm just going to go over real quick the checks that were cleared in January as well as the bank rec for you guys. And then I'm not going to show you the graphs for January because we have more updated ones in the February packet.
Okay. Great, thank you.
So here's the check report for January. Let me know if you have any questions on anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it real quick if everyone wants to look at it. And if you have any questions on any charges, you can ask her.
Just let the record show that Ms. Susan Baca has joined us again.
Sorry, I got kicked out and couldn't get back in.
Welcome back. Susan, we voted in Patrick Segura as our new board member and he's present now.
Oh, awesome. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Are there any questions on, I'm going to go show you the breakdown on the checks on the next slide. But this is just the check, the name, the payee name and the amount.
Anybody have any questions on this? On the checks? I don't have a question or comment. that DeLarge Landon on the very first item is $1,334.50. I know that's belongs to our copy machine, so we really need to discuss maybe in another meeting on if we can purchase a copy machine so we're not renting and paying this kind of fee. I don't know, I don't think we pay it every month, but it is quite a bit that we do pay to them.
Yeah, Margie, if I may,
Go
I
ahead.
spoke with the folks from DSI, and we are trying to figure out. I'll talk with Angie about some possibilities about moving into next school year and looking at some of the equipment that they have for purchase, or even for rent, as well as some other technology items that we might need for the school. So yeah,
Mhm.
we're talking
That
with
would
those.
be great. Thank you for that.
And then, were you guys good on, hold on, were you guys good on, those check numbers so I can show you the breakdown on the checks?
I am. Anybody have any other questions before she moves on?
No?
I don't.
Thank you, Angie. Looks good.
Moving
Yeah.
forward, I'm just showing you all the checks. This is just a breakdown of all the checks that were cut in January. And Rain has been emailing me, and Greg, and now she'll email me and Aaron the invoices for the food. So we haven't been delayed on cutting checks for Cisco. So that's been working out.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Let me know if I'm going too fast on these. It's the same thing as before, but now you can see it's broken down on like what we bought from, like Amazon or this, all the stuff that says direct deposit, those are payroll. That's payroll. This is all the payroll liabilities. So I'm going to scroll. And that's the check report for January. And then let me, we'll go through all of the reports for February because that's more up to date. I'm just going to show you the bank rec for January.
Okay.
So here you can see the bank rec for January balanced. And then this is the bank reconciliation, everything that went through in January. And then the outstanding checks. None of them are, all of them are within December and January, so that's good. They've been clearing. This is just all the account codes associated with the bank rec. And then here is the bank statement for January. And then we do ask for copies of the checks that have cleared. So here's the checks. So that's the two things that we need approved for January. And then I'm going to start the February report beginning.
I think it's best if we do the approval for January
Sure.
now. Okay.
Sure, go ahead.
Without any board member, I need a motion and a second to accept the financials and the bank reconciliation and the checks for January 2025. Any board member can make a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the financials and the
Okay,
bank
Susan-
reconciliation.
Susan Baca made a motion to accept the financials, the bank reconciliation, the checks for January 2025. Do I have a second?
And Patrick, you can now make a motion and vote as well. You want.
Okay, perfect. Yes, I move to approve the reconciliation and
You second?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Patrick Skir's second, and all in favor, I'll call roll by name. David Toledo,
Yes, approved.
Susan Baca,
Yes.
LaDonna Yepesanta, is LaDonna still on?
It shows she's on but muted.
LaDonna, I'll go back to you. Patrick Skir?
Yes.
Yes. And Margie Krill, yes. Accepted January. Is LaDonna still there? Well, that's a quorum motion carries, so we'll go on to the next item. Go ahead, Ms. Lerner.
Okay, so I'm going to start the report, the regular report for February. So we do have quite a few bars. This is due to the audited financials finally being released. So these are all increase or decreases based off of carryover amounts. If it's an increase, it's because we budgeted not enough, that we were going to carry less amounts forward, so we're going to add to it. If we have a decrease, it's because what we said we were going to carry over, we actually carried over less. So that would be the decrease. We're not technically losing funds because this is just making our books correct based off of the audit. So it's just making sure everything is correct on the accounting side, the OBMS side that we deal with. So the first bar I have is an increase to operational for 16,261. And you're not allowed to do increases of operational to salaries. So we put it in any code, other codes that were just needed some money in there. So it's we put it towards other charges, rentals of equipment, student travel, other services, software, and supply assets. Bar 4D is a decrease for the food service. When we did our, what we based off we were gonna get, we and carryover, we were a tad off on it. So we're decreasing it by $9,162, and we're just taking it straight out of the account code that we use to buy the food. 5I is an increase to your student activity funds for $1,607, and we put that towards supplies. 6I is an increase to your impact aid fund, and we put that towards, it was $3,094, and we put that towards speech therapists. 8I is an increase to your Medicaid fund in the amount of $2,225. So we put that towards supplies for special ed. And then 11M is a maintenance bar that we're doing with the family income index. Joe Dan and I have both talked to the grant coordinator, and we are just moving funds from educational assistant because all of our educational assistants are already on grants, and we want to relieve the operational budget of a salary. So we are going to put a teacher on this account code. So it's just moving it from an educational assistant to a teacher. And then all the liabilities for a teacher. So this will partially pay for a little bit of a teacher, about maybe like a 0.2 of a teacher. 12D is a decrease to the your private funds that you have. And this was just due to at end of year, we were moving expenses to move stuff off of operational, and we ended up moving stuff out instead of carrying it over. So we are decreasing this by 58,914. And we're just taking it out of supplies and fixed assets. And any account codes we're not using. And that was all of the bars. Were
Should we
there-
make a motion on the bars if no one has any questions?
Sure. And then for whoever's writing the meeting minutes, when you do the meeting minutes, we do need to approve the bar numbers, which would be, and the motion should be that to approve bars 3I, 4D, 5I, 6I, 8I, 11M, and 12D. If anyone wants to motion to approve those bars.
I'll make a motion to approve the bars.
Susan Baca made a motion to approve all the bars for tonight. Do I have a second?
I'll make a motion to approve them as well.
Okay, Patrick Skura seconded. All in favor, I'll just call roll. David
I approve.
LaDonna Yepas. She can't hear us. Patrick Skura,
Yes.
Susan Bach,
Yes.
Margie Crow, yes, I approve. So there's a quorum, motion carries.
Okay, on to the graphs that we have. Here's the expenditure analysis review for February, which would also include everything we've also spent in January. We are doing well with expenditures. I will now be working with Aaron on fixing any issues if we're expended to move the funds. And Aaron and I and Joe Dan have been working on this, so we should be good on that. And then here's the current revenue versus budgeted revenue. We have been doing monthly requests for reimbursements. Sometimes they're just a little slower to get in. And then you can see on the yearly expenditure comparison that we're pretty close to what we spent within like 20 grand from last February and 2 Februarys ago. We're very close between this year we spent 142,161. Last year was 164, and 2 years ago it was 145. So we're right around spending the same amount in February that we have for each February. And then we're also doing well for spending per student. On the estimated expenditures by function and object, you can see we spend the most on instruction and instruction support. And within that area, that would include salaries for teachers, as well as anyone else that helps out the classroom, like educational assistants and supplies. the most that we spend is based off of the salaries for those people, which is good, and that's what PD wants to see. Our cash liquidity is going down a little bit, but we should be able to fix this. There are a couple of award letters that we are waiting for, like Title I that we're supposed to get for the full year that we can take some money off of operational for. So that should be going up a little bit once we get that award letter. But we're doing pretty good on the liquidity right there. Were there any questions on the graphs?
No questions for me. We'll just look at the bank
Okay.
statement.
So here is the check report. Here are all of the checks that were cut in February. Let me know if there's any questions. Joe Dan's was a reimbursement. He did go to a conference, but the conference wanted payment, not a PO, so he got reimbursed for that. Is everyone good on these checks? And then I can show you the check listing report that breaks them down more.
I'm good, thank you.
I'm just looking to see if anyone's saying anything. Okay. Here's the check listing report that lists out, that kind of shows the breakdown of the account codes. And you can see for ACEs, we paid for speech therapists as well as K-12. And that was for 2 different months. And then this part of the check listing report is all the payroll liabilities. So it shows the direct deposits and when we paid the IRS. And all the other taxes. Were there any questions on the check listing report?
Anybody have any questions or comments on that?
I just have a comment.
Go ahead, David.
Okay, again, Angie, thank you very much for all your good work. Like I have told you before, just by looking at all these numbers and pages going by, San Diego Riverside looks like a very productive school. You know, all these records going by and everything's in order. And that's my number one thing all the time, to be compliant with all the funds, the state funds and wherever the funds come from. I just want to be compliant with everything. So thank you for all your hard work to you and your staff.
Thanks, yeah. Okay, so here's the count summary report. Let me know if you have questions. This is just the revenue part, showing how much revenue we've collected for each fund. And then this is the expenditure report for all the account codes. Let me know if I'm scrolling too fast. And Aaron and I are working with Joe Dan to fix any negative issues, but we are positive in the areas we need to be right now.
Are we waiting for, did you say we're waiting for some reimbursements back from the state?
We're always kind of waiting for some because you have to first spend the money and then the next month you can ask to get the money back.
Oh, I see.
So it's kind of like constantly you're waiting for something.
Okay.
But we haven't had any issues with the RFRs that we've been submitting. They've been approving them.
That's good. Everything falls into the category of how we're spending the money. Okay, then that's good.
Yes. Joe Dan does a great job at making sure that what he wants to spend on the fund actually is allowable.
Oh, good.
You can be quite creative too, so it's been great. And that's the end of the report for the account summary report. This is the statement of revenues and expenditures and change in fund balance. Let me see if I can increase this. This is just, it's similar to the balance sheet statement. It's just showing expenditures and revenue together for all the funds. And then this is the balance sheet. This is the bank reconciliation report for February. You can see over here that it balances. This is all the checks that were cleared in February.
I have a question real quick on the checks. Joe Dan, Mr. Kruger, is he still helping us out, or does he get paid like, or did you pay him out, or is he still with us?
He's still a Mustang. Yeah, he's still a
Oh,
Mustang, and
good,
we're
good.
anticipating him finishing off the rest of the school year with us.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay. I just saw his name on the checks and I thought about him.
I believe he's teaching remotely.
Yeah. Okay.
And then this is the outstanding checks.
One more thing, do you think that's the last check that we had to pay to Dr. Commander?
I believe so. I think that was the last, I think she last got paid in February.
Okay.
for end pay.
Okay. Because she resigned from the contract that we had her on.
And this just shows that we had to avoid and fix the transaction on Amazon. This is just all the account codes associated with the bank rec. And then this is the bank statement for February. And these are all the checks that cleared. We are still waiting from the main person at the Pueblo for the letter that extends your lease so that we can get our lease assistance money for this year. I don't
Oh,
know if,
that's for TJ Loretto and Realty.
yes.
I can reach out to him and ask him about that.
Okay,
And see what he needs from us, yeah.
we would actually need, if possible, if he could write the letter to extend the lease to June 30th, 2026, because I'm gonna need the extension for this year as well. I don't know if he would be willing to do it for the 2 years, just because the grant is, I'm gonna have to fill out the new grant application again for next year, and I'm gonna need the lease to go to June 30th, 2026.
Okay, within the next month or two, we're gonna need that anyway, so.
Yeah,
check
that's
with
why
him on
that's
that,
why I was
yeah.
thinking if you could just extend the for the whole thing, and then I could upload that. They basically told me we will get the money, but as they're not gonna release the money to me to the school and to give us the award letter for the bar until we have that extension.
Okay.
And that was it. But yeah, I do need the new one anyway, so if you could just extend it for this school year as well as next school year, because I do need it for applying for.
Yeah,
school to
they
have it.
do. I've been in communication with them because they do need my help from for their office. They're at the Pueblo. And so I can ask them about it.
Okay, that'd be great.
Mhm.
And that was the whole report.
That looks good. Does anybody have any questions for Aaron or Angie on the financials? She caught us up. She did January and February, and by our next meeting, which is scheduled for April 10th, she'll have March reconciliation for us by then. But this was January and February. We already voted on January's financials, so if nobody has any questions, anybody from the board, if I can get a motion and a second to accept the February financials, bank reconciliations and statements. Anybody from the board can make the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Patrick Skura made the motion to approve the bank reconciliations, checks and bank statements and all the financials. Do I have a second?
I second it.
David Toledo seconded. All in favor, I'll do roll call. David Toledo.
I approve.
Susan Baca. I don't know if she's still here. She might have dropped off again. LaDonna Yepasando.
Aye.
Patrick Segura.
Yes, I approve.
Okay, and Margie Krill, I approve. All right, so that's a motion carried. And so thank you for that. I appreciate you working
Thank
so
you.
hard, and Aaron will be hearing you talk next month, I guess, but thank you for being here. And if we have anything else, anybody has any questions for Angie, we can contact her and ask her at any time, or we can go through Joe Dan and ask her. So thank you
I
for that.
believe everyone I believe everyone but Patrick has my cell phone number. But
Okay.
Joe Dan can give him my cell phone number as well if he ever needs to call or text me with any questions.
Okay.
And I think everyone has my email.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Yes, and her email was on the invite today too. So if you need it, I can get it to you.
It's just
Sure.
Angie at K-12.
Angie at K-12. Yeah. Okay. All
Thank you.
right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for the Finance Committee report. The next item on the agenda is for public comment. Does anyone have anything to say on public comment? It says comments will be limited to 2 minutes per person. If you have anything in public comment, you can go ahead and speak. The only thing that I have, I would make a comment on that there was, I was gonna address, Joe Den about was there was a parent that came to me about a disciplinary action at the school without mentioning any discipline, students' names or anything. I just, he knows about, what was sent last week. I think it was last Friday afternoon about, is it true, Jordan, that they had, had some students had an incident at the school, uh, for discipline? I'm not sure what they said it was, if they were smoking or something like that. Um, I just wanted to know if you can elaborate any on that without in public comments, without being in executive session, that gives us any background.
Yeah, Margie, we can't discuss anything in public comment,
Okay, good. All right.
but I'm
All
more
right.
than happy to share
Oh,
some of
that's right. That's right.
my report.
All right. I apologize for that. I realize public comment is just stating a comment. So the comment that I was stating was I heard about some discipline or some students getting in trouble at the school and some parent coming to me for asking what kind of discipline they're going to have. And I had brought it to the principal's attention. So that was my public comment. Does anybody have anything else? Okay. All right. If not hearing any more public comments, then we'll go ahead and move forward. I'm so sorry, Joe Danny's like, I kept going, okay, here's the principal's report. I had A and B and maybe C, and now I'm all the way to O on your principal's report. So many items that you have to cover. He did send a report to us. If anyone got to read it, I did print it out and I have it here. You could also put it up too if you want to share it, but I'll go ahead and let you get started. Jordan, go ahead.
All right, I appreciate that, Madam Chair and members of the board. We don't really direct any comments to public comment, but I'm more than happy to talk about disciplinary process, and I'll do that towards the end of the report. Just to keep in mind moving forward, we don't typically need to list specific items on our agenda for the principal's report, just a general principal's report. If you want to list 2 or 3 of the important things to highlight, I think that'd be fine
Okay.
too moving forward, but just giving a suggestion that'd be the discretion of the governance council. But yeah,
Okay.
this week in my principal report, the big highlights here are the PED CSD annual site visit. We had our visit right at the beginning of March. The visit went extremely well. The CSD was impressed with what they observed at the school. And one of their responses, which I took as a big compliment, one of them said, "It looks like a school." And of course, I'm sitting there going, well, yeah. What else is it going to look like? But a lot of our staff really went out of their way to ensure that some of my requests, like more student work being on display, making sure that our school was clean and presentable. They went above and beyond, and they did a great job with that. So when they said it looked like a school, I'd like to think that it looked like more like a school. It looked more like a home. And there were no major findings for right now, but they're still doing computer monitoring, and that's going to be ongoing for the rest of the year. If anything comes up, up, they will contact us, and then we'll have a window of time where we'll be able to correct whatever findings they have. I'm not anticipating that, but again, as of right now, we had no major findings. We had 3 or 4 areas that had come back where they said that everything was satisfactory and in compliance. So all in all, it was a great annual site visit. Thank you to our board members that showed up. Margie and David, I believe, are the ones that showed up for our focus group for our board. Appreciate you guys taking the time out to talk with those folks. And a big shout out to our teachers and our students. They were impressed with our students. I think some of them were a little scared to talk to strangers, which is not a bad thing, right? We taught them well, but they said, boy, it was difficult to get some of the questions out of some of our students. They were very respectful, very polite, but they weren't really wanting to initiate conversation with them. But all in all, everything really went well. So I just want to make sure we touched on that. Do you have any questions for me on that on the PED CSD annual site visit?
No, I just want to let everyone know that for the record, that took place on March the 3rd. And like David and I were kind of worried too when we got into it because we didn't know if it was going to be somebody that was going to look at everything and we were going to get scolded for something, but they're actually there to help us. And if they do have anything that maybe might not be in compliance or anything, they would just let us know so that we could correct it. And so that was good to know once we got there and found out who they were and that they were there to help us. So I'm glad that we didn't have any findings at this time.
All right, I'm going to move on to the new conditions that were being proposed to the PEC. We have a new conditions document. When I first joined the school, there was a lengthy document that they were overseeing. I think it was somewhere between 15 and 20 pages. We've narrowed that down to 3 pages. And let me see if I can actually, if you're able to see my screen here, this is what our new conditions compliance document proposal looks like. We're going to be talking about our target goals, specifically in math and reading, looking to try to finish this year within the 40% of increasing in their or sorry, rather 40% of our students in math and reading reaching their target goal to end the school year off. So that's what we're looking to do. And then in subsequent years, we're looking for 70%, which is very ambitious. But I think we can get it done. We have a lot of the right supports in place moving forward into the next school year, hiring the right folks that can do this work. I'm pretty hopeful that we can really make some big gains over this next coming school year. We have our mission and strategic planning. That's some of the work that we're doing with public charter schools in New Mexico with Teresa and Diego. That's ongoing until May 30th, possibly even until June. And then I'd really like to recommend to the board that they stay on with us for another year. I think it's to our benefit, and I think it's also to the liking of the PEC that they see continued support in this area. Comprehensive teacher training programming and opportunities for teachers to attend meaningful, high quality PD. This includes letters training. We sent some teachers out to the Cultural CLR Deep Dive Institute. That's Cultural Linguistic Responsiveness. Sorry, I'm just going to make sure I separate these here. We've done some Agile Mind professional development. We just did another one Monday, which I'll add in here. And we have 2 more PDs that we'll be able to take advantage with math. We're sending our support staff, so not just Mr. Kruger, but Mr. John Toya and Mr. Harold Russell are both attending these because they are supporting that math class as well. We sent Miss Pecos and myself. I know we had to go on different days, but to the Winter Special Education Academy, January 7th to the 9th. There's another Spring Special Education Academy coming up on the 28th and 30th of April. We'll be sending Miss Pecos, and if I am available, I'd like to attend maybe one day. We have charter school testing services. I just got their quote today. Somewhere's around $1,600 to finish off the year for professional development. We don't need them to do testing. We have Bernadette Garcia at our school to do that. What they're going to be able to do is come in and provide much needed professional development on how teachers can actually take that data and unwrap it and utilize it in the classroom. So we want to be more of a data-driven classroom, and they're going to help us get that done. So that might be something that you see come across in the financials for the next month once we initiate contracts. Observations at identified high performing charter schools. We're hoping to do the first observation April 16th and then a second observation May 15th. The school that I serve as their chair for the school board, they've opened their doors to us kindly. And we're not just limited to the 16th. We can go any day that we want. So we'll try to work out another extra day in there. But we want to send all of our teachers to see what high impact, how would I say, structured education looks like in another school setting. Not that we want to become those schools. We just want to pull some best practices that might lend itself very well to what we're trying to accomplish for this school year. And we're also going to try to send our EAs and support staff because we feel like it's important for them to see what that looks like in those high performing charter schools. So we'll be networking. We're hopefully going to be utilizing some of the charter schools here in Albuquerque, in Santa Fe, possibly one in Las Vegas, a Rio Gallinas charter school. And again, we're not trying to travel too far, but we want to give folks the best opportunity to observe schools that they can pull some good practices, best practices from. Individualized learning plans. These are going to be completed during our student-led conferences. This is going to be done April 4th. Our calendar does not place our semesters, our quarters, or our parent-teacher conferences. So we're kind of having to navigate this as best we can. So our proposed date is April 4th, since it is a half a day. And I'll touch on that more in the rest of my report. The same with the high impact tutoring. I have more information on that in my report, but just know that it's already underway and it will go to the end of the school year. We also did some support with Dr. Anaya Cooper. I just found out that we don't have to pay for these services. The state of New Mexico Public Education Department is going to pay for these services, and she's going to help support us with English learners. And we have about 30 to 33 of those students that we identified. She's going to be doing this through prioritizing areas in need of support, learning and understanding English language proficiency and data points, assisting with teacher and student-led language goals and setting, fostering a shared sense of responsibility for English learners, and they're going to observe, collect, and disseminate data related to classroom instruction and recommended improvements that support content and language development. All this is going to be, and more, is going to be provided through a in-person and virtual meetings. So awesome individual. She's going to be coming out, I believe, week after next, in about 2 weeks, to start doing some of the work and working with Miss Bernadette Garcia and myself to help identify and support our teachers. We have our summer reading program, which again will be in my report, but that starts June 2nd, and it's going to go all through the entire month of June. So I'll give you a big update on that, but it's small group instruction, 4-week program for at least 4 hours a day. And that's all going to be supported financially through the Public Education Department and their initiative. We've reestablished all of our Fridays and staff meetings, PDs, PLCs. So this is where we get staff announcements, professional developments, opportunities for trainings, workshops, PLCs and planning. And again, that's going every single Friday. We have our comprehensive teacher evaluation process, which was established by Elevate NM. That's what the state uses. I'd like to explore options going into the next few years with the school to see if we can do our own in-house evaluative process. So I'll be looking at that as we go into the summer. But for right now, this is what we have. We're going to try to finish this off as best as possible. And then the big thing that they want to see here is tribal consultation. They want to see collaboration with Jemez Pueblo Department of Education, Library, Senior Citizen Group, Tribal Governor's Office, and this is in compliance with the state statutes that you see there. And we've already initiated this. Again, we'll go into this a little bit more detail, but this is going to be the proposed new conditions compliance document. I presented this to the PEC on Friday. They like what they see. I will provide Dr. Bridget Russell a draft tomorrow. And then at our next meeting, which will be the second Thursday of April, the board will vote on to approve, and we will submit to the PEC so that everything is in line with what they need on their end. Does anybody have any questions on the new conditions proposed document?
No questions, but that's great that you got it from 15 to 40 pages down to 3 and it's condensed and it makes sense. And I so appreciate that. And I'm sure that's why the PED, when you talked to them last Friday, that they could read it, they could understand it, and they didn't have to go on through the pages. So thank you for that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a little bit of an endeavor. We've gone back and forth, back and forth. We created 3 different documents just so that the board, in all transparency, I was kind of being guided by one side, CSD, the other side, with the PEC. So finally, when we had our special meeting, they gave us a special committee. Everything was really hammered out the way that they wanted to. Nothing was lost. We just did more than we needed to, and we did that twice. So I'm happy that this is where we landed, and I'm grateful that this is what they want to see as well. So the next item that we have here is new mission specific goal. I'll talk about that a little bit later in the report, so we can spend some time on that. I wanted to give you an update on compliance. The following documents are completed and have been submitted. All 17 items in Epicenter that I worked really hard to get in, because half of those items were due back in, I believe, October. And then another
Some
batch.
August and some October, right?
Yeah, August, October, and then another batch was due now in December, and then there were a few items that were due before February. So I can happily say they are all submitted. We got our Black Education Act in place. We did our Safe School Plan. They're on the second review. There were only 3 findings. I was very proud of myself on that. That was a big daunting task. There was not much to go off of, but with only 3 errors, some of them were very minor errors. I haven't heard back from the state, so I'm thinking that we're in good shape. But regardless, this is all we're trying to get all this stuff done so that we can start off on a better leg at the beginning of the school year, and we don't have to worry about all these documents. Um, so let's see here. NM Elevate, we're doing the end of year underway right now. That's our evaluative system for teachers. We got all of our web requirements done. We had some findings on that, which were our Sunshine Portal, our Open Meetings Act, and our draft minutes, which was as simple as basically saying once the minutes are when we do our minutes, like for today's meeting, for example, they would go down as a draft, and we have to mark it as such. The minute they get accepted, we go in there and we say they're not a draft anymore. And that was one of the things that a lot of schools were out of compliance with. So we're underway with that. That was a very simple fix. We got our board bylaws that we did accept. We just need to make sure that those are updated on our website, and we'll work on that this week. The following are being finalized and are expected to be submitted within the next 2 weeks. The literacy plan was a big surprise. It was thrown on my lap probably about a month ago. This was actually due back in September, I believe, August or September. And then the same thing with a 90-day plan that was supposed to be done somewhere around October. I'm completing the both of those plans, and we should be ready to submit pretty quick. We have the ed plan that we're looking at. That's a lot of the stuff that's on the literacy plan and 90-day plan will go on our ed plan. So I'm going to wait to complete those 2 items before I start gravitating towards that ed plan. And then the attendance plan. We need to make sure we pan that out. I don't want to say it's too late in the school year. We definitely have an attendance policy. We want to have that plan in place. But again, a lot of this stuff is really just to stay in compliance and finish this school year off as best as we can and really hit the ground running next year with our new expectations in place. Any questions on those? Okay, I'm going to keep on moving if that's okay. We implemented some of our new school systems, DPS and ILPs. DPS is a daily point sheet. We have a couple of our students that are on this due to low grades or being unmotivated. And then this is for parent and self-accountability purposes as well. Our ILPs, which are individualized lesson plans, they'll be completed during student-led conferences tentatively scheduled for Friday, April the 4th. The attendance, I'm just going to keep on going. If something pops up, just feel free to stop me. Our attendance got better over the last month. It was not very good when I arrived. We are giving more incentives, so we have our Mustang money, which equals, students receiving goodies and then chances to get into the guitar contest. We have a lot of tickets to give away. I'm really hoping to give away 2 guitars this year, but we'll definitely give one away. So I'm excited to give that away. That's something that I did at Turquoise Trail. I know Mr. Segura was a part of that while we were at Turquoise Trail, and I think it's something that can motivate students to come to school. And
Thank you. This is Margie. Can you just elaborate a little bit on how they would get a ticket into that drawing or how that works? Because
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember you mentioned it, but I didn't remember how exactly how it it worked. Yeah.
Sure. So there is a short-term kind of incentive and then the long-term incentive. So anytime a student does something well, or goes out of their way, something that's just not typical of that student or typical of students in general, we want to praise that good behavior. So this is a positive behavior support system. And they just get these little tickets and it says Mustang Money. It has the student's name, the date, what they did to receive that ticket, and then the teacher who gives it away because we want them to also have this kind of intrinsic reward system of just knowing that they did the right thing. The ticket's going to be the extrinsic reward because they receive something. And we collect them through the week, and then every Monday we draw out 7 names. We've been giving potato chips away. That seems to be the way to their heart. Spicy chips.
Mhm.
They work really hard for that. So everybody, regardless of them winning on Monday, everybody who received one goes into the larger drawing for a guitar that I'll be giving away in May. And that's going to be something out of my own initiative that I tried to start up a while back, and I'm hoping to turn this into something big and do this at other schools across our state. But the schools that I've been a part of, that's something that I've always wanted to do. Is give guitars away and maybe some other instruments. We'll see if we can get some other sponsors on board with us.
That sounds great, dude. Do you have do you need like incentives, things to be donated to you for those 7 prizes on Monday?
No, I have a little side deal. One of somebody back before I got here created filled out a survey and it gave us a little debit card for a little bit of money. It's not much, but we're not supposed to accept those types of things for our school. But
Uh-huh.
since it wasn't made out to anybody specific, I've been using that to purchase those snacks with.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're putting it to good use and
Mhm.
if you would like to donate anything towards the larger drawing, teachers
Mhm.
were wanting to give away because we could just give away and give away and give away. I had a teacher last year show up with like 30 random gift cards that were ranging between $1 and $20. Uh,
Mhm.
Starbucks, Chick-fil-A. So she donated all those and we gave them away. We had another teacher that donated some blankets, some really nice blankets. We had another teacher donate a basketball and a football. So if the board would like to give something, we'll draw for those things the last week of school. It'll
Mhm.
probably be the first Monday of the last week of school. Whatever you have, whatever you'd like to give, you don't have to by any means, but if you have any other sponsors, I'm talking with some other folks to see if they'd like to donate some things. It's just all about celebrating our kids. That's really what it is.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. I'll move on into our tutoring. We have Tutorfly for all students. It started March 17th. This program is funded by the Public Education Commission's Special Project Grant. We were awarded $10,000. And this is what we got with it. Our students are getting 30 minutes of tutoring on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And it says Wednesdays here. It's actually Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm going to make sure I correct this because I don't want to give any false information. So there we go. Tuesdays and Thursdays, they're in a 1 to 4 setting. And so it means one live tutor per 4 students. We're also asking teachers to conduct an extra 30 minutes of tutoring throughout the week. Um, and additionally, we are also only the only school in the entire state that's piloting an AI, an artificial intelligence tutor that students have access to during out of school time, out of school hours. So, some teachers are utilizing this because they like what the program has to offer. So if students have their downtime, instead of just sitting there looking at the roof or looking at the ground, we have IXL and now we have Tutorfly, and they seem to really like Tutorfly, and they have their computers they can take home. We're asking parents starting this week if you can find 30 to 45 extra minutes for language arts or reading and math. throughout the week, we'd really appreciate it. That'll make a big impact on our test scores.
I like that. Does every student in every grade get tutor fly for
Every
the on
student,
Tuesdays and Thursdays?
every student, kindergarten through 8th grade. Yep.
Okay, great, because we need it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry to go back up to attendance. I did miss this. We are also I connected with the Viscalis. I'm not sure if I spelt that correctly. So those of you that are familiar with the Viscalis, I know I had heard about that. Please correct me if I didn't spell that right. I could not find the correct spelling
I'll
anywhere.
send, I'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you. They reached out and we're looking forward to working with them on helping us with our attendance as well. So students that are
So,
reluctant to get to school or not showing up on time, we're going to start utilizing their support.
I did talk to the sheriff at one time too, and he said that he would be glad to come to the school with the two Fiscalis, which is Malcolm Yepa and Joey Toya. And so have they reached out? Did they come to the school yet? Or did they
Yes,
just
yes.
did they talk to the students?
They did. They didn't talk to the students. They came in and talked to me. Again, we had a meeting and they're going to be coming back and trying to have more of a presence as their schedule allows them to.
That sounds good. We have not had Fiscali at our school probably since Mrs. Paco's husband was involved. And I want to say that was like around COVID time, before COVID time, something like that. So it's been a while. Thank you.
Yeah, no, looking forward to them. Great folks, and I'm glad we could connect. I think that'll make a big impact on for some of our students. Our PEC meeting was the 21st. I kind of already went over that. I presented our new conditions again, and they liked the proposed draft. Again, I'll get that to Dr. Russell tomorrow morning, and then they're gonna move forward with a vote of approval pending the board's vote approval, and we can get that done in our next board meeting. We have an active shooter training scheduled for this Friday. That's going to go from 1:45 to 3:30, and this will be conducted by Palms and Associates, so that's not going to cost us anything. We have student-led conferences, which we've tentatively scheduled for April the 4th. Okay, April the 4th. So, yeah, we're looking forward to getting our information out to our parents. Our calendar does not identify conference dates or ends of quarters or
Thank you.
semesters. So we're going to work on getting these items established for next school year. Cool.
Yes, we usually start like around April and to get the new calendar going. So we'll take a look at it and probably maybe call a special meeting after we get the budget in April, and we'll make the new calendar for 25-26.
Okay, yeah, that looks good. And again, we'll Angie and Aaron and I will be working on the calendar in the coming weeks. Let's see here. Summer reading program, we've already kind of touched on that as of right now. Again, we're excited to bring this program to our school. We have 7 teachers signed up. Our goal is to have a minimum of 40 students, and the registration just opened up. So start spreading the word. I can get you all flyers. I'll mail them out to you. There's a little barcode down at the bottom. This is gonna be our best grassroots effort to try to get more students in our school, which we desperately need for
It's
funding and because we're a good school and we're gonna have some great opportunities moving into next year.
it's not just for our students, it's for anybody in the Pueblo can come to the summer reading program.
Yeah, so it's gonna be incoming kindergarten all the way to outgoing 8th graders.
Perfect. And then what about your teachers? Is 7 teachers, does that cover it?
If we get all 40 students, we need 10 teachers, but
Teachers,
some
okay.
teachers have not applied yet. And if we don't get those students, then I have to let a couple of teachers go, and just let them know that we just can't hire them because it is it's a 4-to-1 ratio as well.
I
Um,
see.
so yeah, 40 students would mean 10 teachers, but gosh, bring me 100 students. Help me out.
I was gonna say,
Let's
what if we get more than 40? That would be good, right?
that would be great, and I'm sure we can go out and start recruiting more teachers.
I think we can do that too, because everybody, I don't care what school they go to, K-8 and outgoing 8 needs help, and
Yeah.
then there's a lot of them coming over from maybe Hamas Day School. They finished in the 6th grade over there. We
Mhm.
could ask anybody who's graduating from Hamas Day School if they want to come to a summer reading program.
Absolutely. And Yeah, this is going to be one of our big recruitment tools. I'm going to stop sharing for a second because I do have a presentation. I met with a group. Um, Sorry, I have a million windows open and I can never see what I could never find what I'm looking for. So I just had it. Give me 1 second. But I wanted to share with you the presentation that they gave me if I can find it now. I know I just had it. Vertex. Give me 1 second. Anyways, this group, let's see here. So this group is Vertex Education. They do recruitment and advertising. They gave me a presentation. I've met with them twice, and I'm just trying to find their presentation. Um, but they sell different types of packages. Oh my goodness. I thought I placed this on here. I may have to just share it with the board and just give you kind of a verbal overview view on this. They put a plan together for us that basically shows how they're going to help us recruit if we go with their services. Um, they're moderately priced. They weren't too expensive, but I'm pretty ambitious with what I'm asking for right now. I would like to bring those 40 students not just to summer programming, but to stay at our school, which means my personal goal, and again, it is very ambitious. I think I just found it here. Uh, it is to open up the school next school year with approximately 90 kids, and that's almost 50%. That's just under, that's like 45%, maybe just around there. Um, and so again, I get it, very
Mhm.
ambitious, but I'm going to go ahead and share this presentation. I'm not going to go through all of it, but I just want you all to see what they've priced out for us if we choose to go with their services. So this was our agenda. They gave introductions to what we heard from the first time we met, who they are, enrollment and marketing partnership proposals. And one of the things is I'm going to skip through all the stuff that we heard because I think it's important for us to go through. They have some good results. They have a core tiered, they have tiered support options, a core, advanced, and then they have this other larger, what they call the complete package. And the core package gives us all of these benefits here: a campaign management report, event best practicing guide, enrollment process, creative templates for, they're going to make our flyers, our mailers, our ads, social media ads, basic brand guiding, social media boost, monitoring website analytics, Google ad management, how to claim local listings, website performance and audit recommendations, email templates, events, and lead nurturing, a 30-minute monthly check-in, and 3-day ticket solve in case we needed them, on the spot. Then they go to the advanced, and that just adds a little bit more items, like there's optimizing existing pages. There's website and text changes. There's a YouTube channel that they would help get us started with, and then there's the complete, which goes on to a whole different level, like even advertising on the radio and local publications. Uh, the prices, I want to get to the prices here so you can see this, how they evaluated us. Okay. An enrollment gain of 20 students would give us an annual revenue of about $180,000. They're assuming that each student here is $9,000 per enrollment. They're not too far off, but they're just giving it a range here, right? And that means that over a 5-year value of enrollment, we're looking at getting close to $1 million. And so what they're trying to do is show us that they're an investment, right? Right now, this is what they've quoted us at. Our core for going into the next school year would be $8,700. Again, I think it's a little pricey. They could also do a web redesign added to any of these packages for an extra $5,000. Um, I'm just kind of looking at it from what I've done with other schools. I get it; they do the heavy lifting. I don't know that this would be. I don't know that this would give us the advantage that we really need going into next year for the price that they're asking. Because what they're basically guaranteeing is that we might be able to only get between 10 and 15 students, which is still a big big increase, right? That's still big. But if we're looking at it from as simple as, hey, we just need to pass out flyers. Hey, we just need a grassroots effort to get the right information to the right people.
Right.
To do those things by ourselves may come in really way under 8,000. I do like what they're offering, and there's another opportunity to work with another group. I'll touch on that after this, but this is kind of what it looks like from the higher if you're looking at it from the top down. And so, if we brought in 30 students, they charge us $12,000, and if we brought in the 40 students that we want, that would bring cost about $16,000.
And I get it and everything, but that's not, in my opinion, what we need right now. And it's only because we're not like, if we advertise on the radio, we're not like in Albuquerque trying to recruit people from all over the city. We are just this little village, and we're trying to recruit people and students from like the day school and the Head Start and Jemez Valley is the main big things right now. And then another, maybe once if we get a bus service, then we go out to try to do more recruiting in Ponderosa and Zia Pueblo. But those are our big, asks right now if we're going to ask to have students come to our school. And you're right. I've always said it would be good if we got flyers. And actually, David Toledo's sister, she has a mailing service, and she had already given us a quote. If we make flyers, she can get them in every single mailbox throughout the valley, at Jemez and Zia and Ponderosa, Jemez Springs, and all for a good price. And it's way less than the
Yeah.
8,700. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and Margie, I'm with you right there. Like I said, if it looks like we're going to go into another big expansion into the next school year, we may need a little bit of support. The core is why we price that out, because there are some resources that we don't have out there, like you said, radio stations and stuff. And to be honest with you, in my mind, students are the best recruiters. So if we have great programming, they're going to go out into the community and they're going to say, hey, check out these opportunities. My goal is to actually bring in more media next school year, reestablish our YouTube channel, have students actually creating content for that, and I think we can roll that up into our recruitment. And so yeah, I'm with you, and I just wanted to make sure that you all were aware that I did take these folks up on their opportunity, and I'll be meeting with them again. And again, I think it's good to network with folks and keep
Mhm.
those options open in the event that we decide we want to move our enrollment and we're in a good place to get up to 200 kids, right? Then
Right.
it
When
turns
we
into a
get our
totally
new
different
school,
world.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna go ahead and move on into the information meeting from the with the HEMAS governors. Mr. Toledo and I met with the governors last week. We had a great discussion on cultural arts, on language, cultural preservation. We This was mostly an introduction and some insight into my educational philosophy, and we're looking forward to having their continued support moving forward. So this was just one meeting. I know they're busy, but I'm hoping to bug them again maybe in late April. Mr. Toledo, I'll lean on you to see what you think on that. I know there's going to be some asks. I think we kind of went into that a little bit, but I didn't also want to put the pressure on our first meeting. We talked about transportation, which was a big thing, and how they might be able to support us. And there was kind of a comment from one of them that sounded like there might be some funding opportunities, but there also are funding support opportunities for us, and that there also might be an opportunity for the day school to offload one of their older buses and possibly give it away. And maybe that's an opportunity for us to step in and at least get some transportation for the time being at a super low cost, other than just finding a bus driver and fuel. So I'm gonna lean on Mr. Toledo to help initiate that conversation as we come to a close for the school year, to see if we can get that, because that'll be huge.
That would be great. And I thank you for doing that meeting. I wasn't able to be present, but and I know you said that you thought it was a great meeting. I want to see from David's perspective, he was on the tribal council, how he felt, how the governors received us and talked with us and work and think that they'll be working with our school this year or not.
Okay, I just want to add a few few words. It was a great meeting. We went through a request with Lynn Toledo, and after a while, she granted us half an hour And
Oh,
we
wow.
said, we said, we'll take it. Then the half an hour turned into almost 2 hours.
Great.
It was good. I can say in a positive way that the governors were blown away by Mr. Lovato,
That
they
makes me feel good. Yeah.
they didn't know what to expect. Then it hit all the key areas, like music and cattle, cowboys and
In
pinon.
the hay. Yes.
It was
I
good.
love it.
It was good. It was so good. They were actually speechless, they were really blown away and very impressed. And even the tribal minister, Mr. Toya, Vince Toya, joined us.
Mm,
And
well, that's good.
everybody was really, really supportive of San Diego Riverside. At the
I
end, they were willing to help us in any way possible, and it was a really, really good. And I told them, with all due respect, governors, the conversation that we're having right now, the whole village needs to hear this type of language. It was so positive and powerful. It wasn't only about Riverside, it was about the whole valley, how to help one another and be supportive of one another. It was good. It was very educational. I wish we could have taped it, Mr. Lovato.
I know that would have been great.
But they want to come to the school and visit on a regular basis. And I like the way you spelled your new fiscales.
I know I like that too. I
You
sent
learn
him
something
the
new.
spelling.
Learn something new every day. But it was good. So yeah, we can set it up again in April. We can.
The only question I have, David, did Kevin Chendo want to join on the meeting?
We had a meeting before that about a month ago with his
Uh-huh.
staff, and he also gave us about half an hour, and that turned into about 2.5 hours over there
Uh-huh.
as
Good.
well. Yeah, so
Okay.
we met with his staff too as well, and that was also a very, very positive meeting.
Good.
And
That's good to know. I'm glad.
yeah,
This one other thing I wanted to bring up, because I'm glad that all three governors are present, and they're all, because I can let everybody on this meeting know that there has been no governors that have come to our school, seen our school, except for Peter Magdalena did come for Thanksgiving dinner one time, or something like that. He was there one time at our school, but from I would say from COVID on, from 2021, when we went back to school, uh, in August of 2021 until present, no governors have stepped foot on our Pueblo, on our school at the Pueblo at all. So for us to know that you interacted with them in a positive way, that they're willing to come and check our school out, and for telling them about the incentives that we want to give and all that. I think that word of mouth from them would also be positive for recruitment too. And then says, like, one governor, Matthew Gotchman, he's my first cousin. The main governor, George Shendo, he's married to my second cousin. So I was hoping that, I could be there and help to say, we need your help because no other governors have been here, but you guys did a great job to let them know that. So thank you for that. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. You went well.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Toledo. I appreciate the support and initiating that conversation and introduction. It was very kind of you to do that too. And yeah, we're gonna have some asks for them, right? We're gonna have some asks for them and some
Yeah,
things we'd like to see them help support us with. And I think that time will come over the next few months. But just making sure that folks knew that I was there and that we have an ambitious idea moving forward to reestablish San Diego Riverside the way it deserves to be and the way it has been in the past. All right, it's hard coming out of the pandemic, but we're gonna move past that and we're gonna get on with the hard work that we have to do. Our students deserve that, and I will be following up with them in an email tomorrow. So again, David, just so you know, I'll make sure that you're CC'd in that.
yeah,
Just thanking them there for their time. I don't like to bother too many folks the day after, but just reminding them, hey, we met a week ago. Thank you for your time. I look forward to having you, and then really extending that invite sometime in April, maybe before we go on our spring break and Easter vacation, at holiday. Seeing if they'd be interested in coming out, maybe having lunch with the students. Maybe we can do a small celebration to welcome them, so they can see some of the good things that our
oh,
students,
yeah.
our teachers are doing there.
Sounds great. I'll go with you again.
Yeah, please,
Yeah.
please.
Thank you.
And
Really
anybody
good.
who's available, any board members,
Yeah,
anybody out there, Angie and Aaron, if you guys want to come out too, you guys are more than welcome to.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That would be great. Also, that Matthew Gotchpin, he lives in Ponderosa and he has two younger kids. I'm not sure if they go to the day school or the valley, but if you tell him that we have bus service and they gave us bus service, we can actually pick up his kids and bring them to our school too, you know,
I
so.
think he kind of mentioned that a little bit. Oh, yeah, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that was part of the he got excited with some of the things we were talking about, so it naturally went into the transportation, and they were jumping all over it. Like, hey, there might be some funding that we might get. Maybe we can figure that out. They talked about us maybe even
Mhm.
looking at Walatoa in partnership with them, and then the other thing that
Mhm.
came up, like I said, was possibly getting one of their donated buses, which hey, we'll take if it's gonna help us sustain for a couple of years, 1, 2, 3 years. I think
Mhm.
that's worth it.
Yeah, to get
Also,
some transportation going. That's perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
also,
Let's move on here. Yeah.
hold on,
sure.
hold on. Also,
Yeah, go ahead.
also the first lieutenant, Cornell Choso, he's really into education too as well. So he
Oh,
had a
yeah.
lot of good comments too as well, supporting San Diego Riverside as well as the community. So they're all on
Yeah.
board to help us. Thank you.
Yeah, Cornell, he's really good. His mother's a veteran. She was in the Veterans Association group that we used to have there at the Pueblo too. So she's always been really proud of her son being he's very educated. So that's so
Yeah.
good.
They're all wonderful people, and the community is fortunate to have each one of those folks there. So yeah. Um, the info from the meeting with the PED, that would have been the PEC actually on that. So I'm gonna make sure I get that corrected again so the records show everything correctly.
Right.
We didn't go, one of the things we talked about was our mission specific goal. We didn't go specifically into our goals in great detail. I did bring up that we were possibly thinking about making a change with our mission specific goal. And then there was a suggestion, well, and I'll talk about why and how I proposed this. This was a suggestion from the PEC member that we shouldn't change our mission specific goal on language, but rather just allow students who are not able to participate in the TOA language assessment to complete an alternative assessment. Or a measure of success. And to be honest with you, I want to know how the board feels about this because either way, it's going to be work on our end. We either keep the language as a focus and then we just give an alternative option within that setting. And that might be the easiest thing because that might keep everybody happy. The PEC really did highlight the understanding of the importance of preserving the TOA language. And I was pretty surprised by that because typically with other schools, the PEC says, yeah, you're doing this program or this is the test that you want to be graded on or observed on. But the PEC did have some great concern, and they did point out that the TOA language is what makes our school special. And even though I told them like we're not doing away with a language program, we have some big ideas for that. I'd like to see us do a pre-bilingual seal. We can't give a bilingual seal in middle school, but what we can do is set up the prerequisites and work with Walatoa. If Walatoa offered a bilingual seal in TOA, we can be their prerequisite to get to that. That means our students would earn a pre-seal that basically states that they have the information that they need in order to earn a bilingual seal. We've seen one school do this, one native school do this past year. They're the first ones, from what I understand, in the nation to do that.
Wow.
So, that might be a great opportunity for us to bring everybody together for a good cause. Um, again, I'm a very transparent person. Part of the reason why I wanted to take that TOA language off of our mission specific goal, there's two reasons. Number one, it wasn't equitable for students that are not coming from the Pueblo, because it is a sacred language and it is only exclusive for the folks that
Mhm.
speak TOA that are from the Pueblo. But the other reason on that too is that there's a lot of influence from the Hemes Department of Education, and for good reason. I gotta be honest. If these are the folks that are seen in the community as the authority for what that language is and what it should look like, they have the tests, they have the tools, they have the curriculum. It puts in more legwork for us to redevelop something that might not be as effective as what they've already done. And I get it. There's some things that I might not like, and I probably don't understand and see the full picture of it. But my other part of that was basically that we would be able to get away from that. I I went through a lot of work to create rubrics. I have rubrics created for this proposal, which I don't think will go by the wayside. I have a cultural menu. I don't know if you can see this one, but I have a cultural menu, arts project menu for students to choose different projects with. And I'm thinking, based off of what the PEC is kind of suggesting, is that maybe what they'd like us to see is to keep the TOA language component, but add a component within that allows students that are not from the Pueblo to participate in other alternatives so that they can help with our cultural preservation. And that was what we talked about with the governors. So again, I think this is something that we don't have to decide right now, but we only have about maybe 2 weeks till our next board meeting where we're going to need to get some of this paperwork in to see if we need to make an amendment to something or completely revamp our goal. So
I just personally, um, I don't have a problem with teaching non-Hamas students TOA. Like I said, there isn't anything uh about like them learning TOA, and I don't know if anybody else had a problem with teaching them. Like I said, they're not going to be 100% fluent. It's conversational TOA, but they will learn certain words and animals and colors and numbers and names like that. That would be good. And like you said, our mission statement is actually based on language and culture, and the assessment part of it, I think if you can't really assess in writing on anything with the language, but the assessment I would think would look something like I'm teaching them the cultural events that happen throughout the year at the Pueblo, and they can be tested on those things. That's what I was thinking about. So I don't know if anybody else has anything about it they want to say
yeah,
about it.
just so I can make sure that the board is again full transparency. You guys have the information. I sought out Dominic Gachapin, who's the one of the cultural specialists for
Mhm.
the Pueblo Department of Education, and in talking with the governors and Mr. Toledo, tell me if I'm wrong here as well. The folks that I talked to didn't feel like it was appropriate, and I know we talked about this at our board meeting, and I believe it was Kiani that brought this up, right? That we didn't feel like it was appropriate for students that are not part of the Pueblo to learn the language because the way that mission specific goal is written, it's not talking about just specific celebrations. It's talking about a fluency. It's talking about a pathway to being fluent in the TOA language. And so, I don't think there's an issue if they pick up on it, but to actually send them into these classes that are seeing the way that this goal is written, uh, all the folks that I've talked to that have quote unquote authority on the Pueblo didn't feel like it was appropriate to teach any outsiders the language.
Mhm. What did you think about David or LaDonna?
Yeah, we did talk about it a little bit. I know it can go both ways, I guess. Yes, our Towa language is special uh, to our village. Then again, what you said, Margie, is also um, in a way it would not really hurt anybody, even from the outside, to learn numbers, colors, seasons, or whatever,
Right.
just basic language, not really going into a lot of detail and stuff, but so yeah, basic information. And as we all know, going back in history, Pueblo Jemez had a lot of interaction with non-tribal people through history, hundreds of years. We had a
Mhm.
lot of connections with the Spanish people, and there were some older elders that spoke Spanish. They were fluent in Spanish, and even other Spanish people spoke Toa many years ago. So there's
Mhm.
a history of that goes way back there. And now, you know, it's good to preserve the Toa language and also maybe share a certain part of it too as well. But I think it needs to be have more discussion in the future. That way,
Mhm.
have an agreement as to how much we can teach, not only charter or Riverside School, but other schools too as well. So I think it needs a little bit more discussion and that we can agree to how much we can teach the language.
That's true. And I would specifically ask George Shendo, who is actually Kevin Shendo's uncle. And he is old fashioned as they come as far as like traditions and language and culture and everything. And I think that that would probably be, since he's a sitting governor right now, in the next meeting that we point blank ask him what he thinks or how he feels about it. Because the Dominic Godchapins or the people who come and say that to you or to anybody, to me or to any outsiders, you can't learn the Torah language because it's only for us, is in, I think, in my opinion, is just their opinion of it. So we would really need to see what these these elders or sitting governor or whatever thinks about it right now too. But like David said, it just needs more discussion about it. But anyway, it's something that we need to decide about our mission goal statement. Yeah. So
Yeah, and so I have this I don't know if you guys can see this, but our goal is written, and this is why it's also difficult, right? They are looking for a certain degree of fluency within this assessment. And if we assess students that are not from the Pueblo, that just come in, for 1 or 2 years, they're gonna drag the test scores are gonna show that they're nowhere close to where they should be, right? If you look at, and this is why it's hard as well, I get it that it's their opinion. Now, this was created before I got here, and this is something that I'm having to defend.
years ago, right?
The specific goal here says SDRC students present on the 40th and 120th day each year will achieve a score of proficient or better on the TOA language assessment based on grade level expectations described in the assessment scoring guide. This assessment of the unwritten heritage language of the tribe uses a 4-point scale beginning, nearing proficiency, proficient, and advanced. The last thing we want to do as a public charter school that has this focus is to go up and try to defend why some of our students are not being proficient in the TOA language. And we're going to already know this. It's not a hypothetical. These many of our students that come from the Pueblo, they're speaking this at home. At least that's what the goal is to make sure that our kids are not just speaking this in school, but especially in the home, right? Because that's what's going to preserve the language. Our students that do not come from the Pueblo are not going
Right.
to have an advantage for this. And
Right.
how it's presented. The other thing about this, even though and I'm not disagreeing with you, Margie, on hey, it's their opinion, but their opinion is going to be taken as expertise because the way that, again, this is written, it says students who reach a proficiency or better in the TOA language and practice the language at home and insight-based and community-based educational and traditional activities are able to better understand the rich cultural heritage of the tribe, participate in sacred traditions, and carry on their knowledge to the next generation. Students achieve proficiency through the demonstration of oral fluency in the areas of speaking, word knowledge, and sentence structure. In these steps, number one, these NALC are the Native Acquisitional Language Certificates. These instructors, we're going to test them in middle of the year, or beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year. And it says that the TOA assessment developed collaboratively by the Hemes Education Department, Hemes Tribal Council, and the Hemes Language Team. Just so that the board understands this, because I know when we first started these conversations, we said, well, we're going to create our own test. The way that this is written and presented to the Public Education Commission,
Right.
this does not give us room to create our own assessment. We are basically saying they are the authority. These three entities, the Hemes Education Department, Hemes Tribal Council, and the Hemes Language Team, these are the folks who are the ones that determine what the language should look like and how they get assessed.
I see. So we have actual measures of success that we never really specifically looked at before. So we always just did it like the way we thought. That's what we had, because we had an bilingual teacher who had a master's in Native American studies who taught there for 10 years and I never saw them grade like this. And then COVID happened, and then Dominic Toya came in, and he's traditional fluent, and he's teaching it. So, but I don't think he's following these guidelines. So I guess, like you said, what we have to do is make sure exactly how we want to do it, and that the instructors who are teaching this are doing it the way that it's written for assessment reasons.
Correct, correct. And the last thing we want to do is present something that the PEC, they like this, right? Like they like this. They understand the inequities that it brings to other students. And like you said, this is not about learning colors or shapes. That we can definitely learn that, which is the secondary proposal is the cultural arts. And I think we can combine both of those, which again, it gives everybody a little bit of everything that they want. We still have our language class. We still collect the data, but through the, and I'm going to go back to this so you can see what I proposed to them. This is my draft. Let me see here. This is my draft for the rationale for the purpose of change. And I'm thinking that it's not going to be an all out change now. Just listening to how the PEC talked, listening to what Mr. Shendo had to say at the Hemis Department of Education, listening to our governors and our tribal council, listening to board members here. What I'm getting is that there really needs to be two different measures and two different pathways to measure our success at our school. And that's not a bad thing. It just means that we might have to do a little bit of extra work. Um, but it is ultimately up to us. We can change that. But when the PEC member said, that's what we like about your school, that's what makes you unique, I think they really still want to see that data, and we should collect it regardless. Right, we're going to have a language class. If we abide by the assessment that HEMA's Department of Education puts forth, we still collect the data. That's still important for us, and we can still turn that in. We're going to have to. My rationale for proposing this change, which would be going to a cultural arts, is as a public charter school, the previous mission specific goal regarding the proficiency of the TOA language is not equitable for all students, especially those who are not from the Pueblo. The TOA language is a sacred language that is exclusive to the people of the Pueblo. The school will continue to offer the TOA language class and aims to build a stronger program in the coming years. Changing our mission specific goal to have a focus on cultural arts projects will allow all students to participate and provide students from the Pueblo and those who are not from the Pueblo the opportunity to learn about the unique and rich culture of the Walatoa. Having a focus on cultural arts will encourage and inspire students to be more connected to their cultural heritage, as well as provide all students the understanding of cultural preservation. We believe that this will have a significant positive impact on their language acquisition, cultural understanding, participation, attendance, behavior, and overall academic improvement. So, to sum it up, the way that I was looking at it when I first approached this of full on change is a lot of our students are not embracing their language because they're not finding the full connection in it, right? It's like that with a lot of things, a lot of languages around the world. To learn the language is not to simply mean that they learn the culture. And so what I did was I tried to go from a bottom up effort. In other words, I created this menu. This is just an example where students will complete one of each of the following each semester. Pottery, canvas or painting, mixed media, music could be instrumental, dance or performance, clothing and fashion, creative essay writing, which is storytelling, create a podcast, have a community service that's something important to them that's based in the community, doing a mural, having a short film or a documentary, doing a music like an original song that they sing to, writing a book or writing the first chapter of a book, which is storytelling, web design, food, which would be a cultural cuisine, a cookbook, which would be a cultural cookbook, game or a game board, that's something cultural, making jewelry, doing leather craft, doing photography, or something else that we're missing there. We leave that open for interpretation. What I believe to this is that students will learn new skills. They'll understand and encounter new difficulties that they have to overcome. They are going to get better at certain things than when they first started the project. And then they'll understand they'll have a better understanding and connection with not just the Toa culture, but now the importance of why that language is trying to be preserved, right? Now they're making the larger connections. And so when they do take Toa, now they have all these connections, the artistic connections, because the language is an art in itself as well. And now we're giving them a connection with their ancestors directly, right? They're participating like right now they're doing pottery with John, and the students were coming up to me talking to me about what's the symbology around what they put around their bowls are. And those students that are from the Pueblo, they participate and are able to participate in the language, and it'll strengthen the both of them. The students who are not from the Pueblo can learn some of the Toa language through some of these projects, but they're not going to be going through that category of having to be fluent at a certain level, but they're still going to be participating in the cultural preservation through understanding the culture. So they're still going to participate in this matter. And what I'm thinking is now we just maybe it's as simple as meddling the both of these and giving students the option, because the language isn't going to go anywhere. We want to strengthen that.
Okay. All right. So that brings us to that approval of school specific goal amendment. And we're going to have discussions or action on that. So we don't really want to do that right now then.
I'm 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 thinking not. I think we just need to find out what the board is suggesting as far as, do we want to change the goal completely, or do we want to meld the two together and say, hey, students who take the TOA class, here's what it's going to look like, and then here's other opportunities.
I'd like to
Yes.
add something.
Go ahead.
Okay, what Mr. Lovato is talking about, he's absolutely right. Um, I really was not totally aware, I guess, about the proficiency part to really measure the amount of knowledge that the kids were obtaining at the school. That's going to be really, really hard to measure and reach those conditions that we said we were going to do. But through a different angle, through a different direction, through the arts, the cultural arts, we talked about this too with the governors this year, the last meeting we had, and they really liked the idea. They liked it. And I think they felt that it was not a bad thing to do, where they can learn culture and arts and things like that instead of being totally fluent in the total language. I think they felt that the arts program would be acceptable, and they would be supportive of that direction. That's what I got. And kind of leaving a language aside a little bit and learning a different whole new um, subject, so to speak. And I think if we go that direction, I think the interest level will pick up with the students doing something new and a whole new area where it hasn't really gone before. So I would be supportive of the area. And going back to the council part, uh, tribal council, we have not talked about anything like that before. That the tribal council will be totally involved too as well in the maybe developing language programs. The council has not talked about that. So I'm not sure what they'll say, having their their names be put on the program too, to be responsible for maybe measuring proficiency of language. I just want to add that too.
That's a good point, because like David being a, previous governor 2 or 3 times already, and sitting on the tribal council right now, he had no idea that this statement was in the proficiency part of our mission goal statement. See, and I don't know if anybody else on this board knew that either. So thank you for bringing that out to us, Mr. Lovato, because a lot of us didn't even know that was there. I know that Kevin Chendo was like trying to measure or see if he can test proficiency in TOA. Had no idea it was also part of the tribal council or the language program. Don't even know if they even have a Jemez language board anymore. I know they used to, or a team, Hamish language team anymore. They used to, but some of the elders are gone now. So I don't even know if they do or not anymore. So that's a good question that we'd have to ask. Another thing is, like you said, when we start to teach culture in pottery or basket making, moccasins, whatever, weaving. Carnell, first lieutenant governor, his mother is a master weaver. And so we can invite her and let him know. We can invite your mom to come and show us some of her woven rugs and tell us about the weaving process and stuff like that, so that we make sure that we include all of these governors' families here this year, that we know what they do. And that way they shine a little bit more light on, we really are trying to teach our culture,
Yeah,
so. But you're right. I think it needs to be on the agenda of one of the tribal council meetings sometime to say, hey, look at this statement. You all, just to make your tribal council aware, you're in the San Diego Riverside measures of success. And like for you all to know that. So.
exactly. You're right.
So I guess what I would ask is, how are you feeling? Are we feeling like maybe we should keep this language goal? Are we feeling that we should go ahead and change it to that cultural arts perspective? Or are we feeling like we have two pathways now? We keep that language and we bring in that cultural arts, and that's our option for the fluency that we're testing for for all students. I mean, really, what we're going to have to do next year, and this was something that I found through the state, if I'm interpreting this right, we can't force all of our students to be in a cultural language setting.
Yeah,
What we have to do is we have to give the opportunity for them to either opt in or opt out, and that's going to have to happen starting
Mhm.
next year. So even if students are from the Pueblo and parents say, I don't want them to take the TOA class, then if we didn't have this cultural arts component, they're going to not have any connection to their heritage and their culture, right?
Mhm.
And then that would be forcing them to take another math or a reading class, which isn't bad, but we have to stay true to who we are as a charter school, and we want to give
Mhm.
kids those opportunities. So correct me if I'm wrong. Am I thinking that maybe we propose this? You want? Are we feeling that we should vote this in as a component to complement our language goal?
Mhm. I think we should, because we do have it on action and discussion on the board meeting agenda right now. So if I could, to the two pathways that you're talking about, the mission specific goals that we have right now, in addition to, the second pathway that you spoke about, photography, podcasts, pottery, basket weaving, whatever. If we can, would it be good to call for a motion now if we want to, how we would like to do it, if we want to do it that way or not? Would it be a good
Sure.
time to call for motion now? Okay. So I'd like to call for a motion to, if you would like to accept the mission goals specific statement that we have now, plus add on the second part of it that Joe Dan was talking about, adding different um, classes along with it,
Margie,
surrounded around culture. Yes. Uh-huh.
before you call for a vote, I'd just like to add to the village itself, Pueblo Hemas is also aware that we are being challenged within our own village too, because a lot of our young people are preferring to speak English instead of TOA. Like out here, I live close to a school.
Mm-hmm.
I hear kids every day walking by and everybody's speaking English. Then nobody's talking TOA. And that's a concern among our people, among the governors and council, that our language is being kind of being put in secondary and everybody's speaking English. And it's just a trend. All little kids have cell phones and they learn everything right there in the palm of their hands. All the technology is right there. So not only Hemos, but other tribes too as well are experiencing the same concerns. And it would be great somehow if we can maybe revise the statement that is before us now and not, I don't know, I don't know if this is the right term, but the go away from proficiency to maybe a lesser thing, and also maybe put some emphasis into the arts program, the cultural arts, something like that, or a combination if we can. So I just want to add that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So he doesn't want, like David is proposing to maybe change it and add the arts part, like you said, the second pathway, but also maybe changing the main part of our goal to not be like 100% proficient,
Yes.
mid-level proficient, advanced proficient, whatever, that they would have like some TOA language and also culture and arts added into it. So that's his thought of it. Any other board member want to say what they think about it?
And just to jump in, like I hear where y'all are coming from. I think part of that proficiency is coming from and looking at how other schools are measuring their goals. Like here's one. This is the Dream Dene charter school, and there's so you have some comparison here. Theirs is a 90% or above on their annual place based project. So theirs is going to be kind of similar to us. They're doing projects, but we really want to emphasize the cultural projects. A project can be just about anything, but what we want to make sure we do here is San Diego Riverside, the cultural projects are tied to the TOA culture. It's not just
Mhm.
hey, we went and did a project on the solar system. No, if you're going to do that, how does that tie into the stories or the art or the culture of the TOA people? And so, this is kind of what theirs looks like. There is a form of proficiency. They're not using the proficiency. They are using the 100%. When you talk about an assessment like language, they're going to utilize proficiency because that's what they want to see. That's us telling the public education. That's us telling the state that that's what we're accountable for. They wouldn't go for, and I just know how they wouldn't go for, hey, four students out of, they want to know, is this proficient, because it's an assessment that's kind of in alignment with how they develop those state assessments, right? Are you proficient in English? Are you proficient in math? Are you at grade level? The nice thing is depending on what the Pueblo Department of Education designs with their assessment, we together will decide, well, what does that proficiency look like? Right? We have that wiggle room, and that's why I said we should lean on them. If they're the experts and that's what the state is seeing them as, let's utilize their test. We don't want to spin our wheels creating something that's not going to be on par, because the PEC could use that against us. And,
Mhm.
and that'll be a whole bad thing that we don't want to go down. And then here's another one just for you to glance at. This is New Mexico School for the Arts. This one, again, how often they're assessed, they only do a 1-year assessment, but students are successful by earning a grade of a B or better by using a specific grading rubric on their public facing artistic performance or exhibition. So again, we're pulling from this idea, but their interpretation is open to whatever they want it to be. Ours is specific within the culture. Um,
Mhm.
so if you wanted to scrap the whole language goal, it does not mean, and this is what I was trying to get the
Mhm.
public education to understand, it does not mean that we're doing away with our language program. It's there.
We're,
And we're still going to
we're
measure.
doing away with assessing the students on the language. That's what we're doing away with. I think that's what you're saying.
Well, no, we would still assess them. We would
Oh.
still assess them. The difference is by doing away with that, the two benefits, I guess I should present it this way. The two benefits that we would get if we completely change that goal is, number one, not every student is going to be forced to go through that program now, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's not going to even moving forward because it's not equitable for students that shouldn't be learning that language. And the second thing is it does take the Hema's Department of Education out as far as being the cultural experts. In other words, if we wanted to design our own tests, which we don't have to, there's not as much pressure coming from the Hema's
Yes,
Department of
and
Education
them.
to say,
Mhm.
hey, this is the
Mhm.
test. We will do the test. We do it. We might be able to say, hey, we like what you gave us, but now we want to go ahead and change this.
Mhm.
With this, the way it's written, we're upheld to by what they
Mhm.
give us. We don't have a
Okay.
choice. But by taking that as a goal, we're not going to be penalized from that, right? The
Mhm.
PEC isn't going to look and say, "Oh, you didn't do this and you didn't do that,"
Yeah,
and that was part of the agreement.
yeah,
So we step away from that power dynamic, I guess you would say.
Okay.
You
Well, in
know,
your expert opinion, then you make a suggestion on how based on what like David said, what I said, what we want to see, what would you suggest that we put in there?
gosh, I gotta say I'm a little impartial. I still like doing away with saying we don't want the PEC to uphold us to to
yes,
to the language. What we
Mhm.
like to say is say we're still going to continue this behind the scenes. That's that to me it's a either or. We either say we make this a component of it and we work with the Department of the HEMIS Department of Education i- and give them a little bit more power in that respect, or we completely revamp the language and if the PEC says, hey, well, what happened with this? We say, oh, it didn't go away. We made it better. And we can show that. So to me, either way, the language isn't going anywhere. We want to give more opportunities. We want to have after school programs for the language. They're right. 1 hour a day isn't enough. But I feel like they're going to get that language through the cultural classes and it'll be more implemented and more showcased throughout the regular day as opposed to just one class now. Now there's an emphasis there. And so, like the basics, the students that are not from the Pueblo, they can learn the basics, right? It's not taboo. They went through this, they created their own pottery and they learned a little bit, but we're not testing them on that proficiency, if that makes sense.
Okay, I like that too then.
yeah,
So, all
So
right,
Dan,
so
I had a
let's,
question for you too. Could you change your goal? Sorry, I've been listening the whole time.
that's great. I'm
Um,
glad you're listening. We need an outside
it's
opinion too. Go ahead. Yeah.
instead of saying like 100% proficiency, could you say something like a certain percentage proficiency for your goal? Because that might be
Like you said,
more
like a
attainable.
50% proficiency or something
Um,
like that.
or like the lower, or you say your lower quartile of students, you're going to raise them up a certain amount on their proficiency because that might be more obtainable.
We could. I think the thing that the PEC, this is the sentiment that I'm getting from the PEC, is that even if we didn't get proficient, like as long as we show them the scores and we show them that we're trying to get better, right? Um, they're not gonna close us down because of that. They're just gonna come back and have like I've seen this with other schools that have presented who have something similar to these types of things, and they basically say like, what do we got to do? What are the supports we got to put in to get these guys as much as possible? Because here's the thing, even though we're saying it says the students on the 40th and 20th day of each year will achieve a score of proficient or better. So there's a proficient and there's an advanced. Just so you guys think about, there's a scale, right? Proficient just means they've learned enough. They learned enough of the basic language that they can keep on going on. And if they offered those language classes in high school, they're going to do pretty good in that, right? Um, it doesn't mean, and to be honest with you, I think where we stand right now, we have wiggle room, if that makes sense. I don't feel like they're gonna say, "Oh, you didn't meet 100%. We're done here." I think really this is just more of a, hey, there's things that we're gonna work out on any given year. And
Okay.
it'd be the same with the projects, right? Like not every student is gonna have a A+ project, but is it sufficient enough that displays the culture and they have an understanding of what was taught to them through that arts program? We're looking for that sufficiency. I see where you're getting, where you're going. Like, I think 90% would, if we had to give it a hard number, it'd have to be a 90%. It's the way I look
Mhm.
at NWA scores. They don't want to see that 50% of our students are making gains. They want to see that 70% of our students are making gains, right? Like,
Right.
Where do
I
we
just know
say
you
like,
guys are small, so like sometimes if you're like
Mhm.
like if two kids don't show up or two kids are doing horrible, it might shoot your number way down just
Right.
on that,
average because you don't have 400 kids where two or three of them didn't do well. You only have 50 or 60, so
yeah.
the smaller numbers can hurt you in that stance.
Well, that's why we want to make it more equitable because the ones that'll hurt us the most are the students who haven't spoken at all, right? We're
Right.
testing them at proficiency, and that's like, oh my gosh, that's not right. And so what we'd have to do is take that subgroup of people who
Mhm.
opt into
We-
taking that class and make sure that it's in alignment with what the Department of HEMAS education would like to see on there, because we would pull them in. And you know, again, that's the benefit of having them there, is to say, hey, we did this. They told us that this is what works, and it's not working. So now we got to go back to the drawing board. And like, these goals aren't like, they uphold these to us, but I don't think they're going to sit there and say, "Well, gosh, you haven't done." Well, they have to give us time to build this type of program, right?
Or yeah,
And do
could you
you
say
think
your goal would be like you said, because you need more time, not that it's you're that's gonna happen right away, but you're gonna say within this
Yeah.
many years, we're gonna have this much this percentage of proficiency.
A proficiency or better, yeah.
Just so that they don't say you haven't done anything.
Yeah, no, and we,
Because you don't have a lot of time, like especially this year, because it's almost over.
yeah, and that's what we talked about, and that's why they're, you know, I think they like the idea, and I do give them credit. They do understand that, like, the Pueblo wants to preserve this language.
Mhm.
They don't want to see something like this go away. And
Well,
what I'm trying to tell them is, this isn't going away. We're going to make
mhm.
it better. We just don't want to be graded on this, right?
Okay.
We
So
don't
do
want.
we have to decide it tonight, or can we do it another time? Because like you said, this meeting is already long, but I don't know if we have to make a statement tonight and vote on it or something, or because it is the end of the year, could do they want us to have a locked in goal right now, goal specific right now, or what should
Well,
we do about this?
the reason why I'm bringing that up is because the way that this is written, let me just get this amendment form up. Um, they have to have this. It says here, the submission must be approved prior to the change being implemented, 28 days prior to the next PEC meeting, and then it'll be placed on their agenda. And then it has to be fully completed, and a board has to approve, and we have to show in the minutes. And so the only real opportunity would be April, possibly May.
Mhm.
If you want to table this for more discussion in April,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that as well.
Well, we need to get on with it, but I mean, we're just hashing out back and forth the same exact stuff we're talking about. So it's like, oh, should we do it? Should we not do it? So we just need to know if we're going to change it or not change it. If we're going to say, can you say proficient at their grade level? They don't know what that is, right?
No, we determine that, or the
Okay,
Hammond
so
Education Department determines that.
and then, like you said, the only thing that, like you said, I would change on here is maybe do what that other school did and only do it once a year, and not 40 days does not teach you anything. I'll tell you that right now. That's like barely, 2 months into the school year, because 20 days a month that we go to school. So,
Sure.
uh, so I don't know if you do 40, maybe if you just do like 90 days in the end of the school year, or just like at 120 days or something like that. If we can just do it once a year, maybe. And then if we say proficient at their grade level, instead of, like
And it,
100% proficient or something like that, but.
and this is more
Um,
so to go into effect for next school year, because we are
Right.
so close. We have to finish this TOA language assessment going into this
This
into the
year.
rest of this year. Yeah.
Joe Dan, could you do an assessment on 40 day? And then you say that your goal is to have so much growth by the end of the year, and then you test them again, and then that is your goal, like this much of growth.
We could. It's hard for me. That's like a shot in the dark for me, because I don't know what this
Easier
test
because
looks
it's
like.
not right, but that
Okay.
makes it easier a little bit on like not proficiency, but if you
Yeah.
do have really low kids, they made growth, they might not be proficient, but they
Yeah.
made this percentage of growth, especially if they were very low.
I do like that, and I like that better. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Let me propose this to the board, because, like you said, I know it's getting late and everybody's got stuff that they need to finish up. Why don't I go ahead and reach out to the chair, who happens to be the commissioner for our district, Becca Burt, Commissioner Burt. Let me
Mhm.
just see what the sentiment is from her as our commissioner, to see if it's an either or what they just. I want to know how they feel about this, right? Uh, because if they're getting the idea that we're kind of completely doing away with this and the language department's going away and whatnot, I want to make sure they understand that we're just trying to make sure that we, right now, we're going through a redesign and we're going through a rebranding. You know, San Diego Charter School is coming back bigger and stronger. But let me get the sentiment of those folks. Let me call them through this week and see how they feel. Worst case scenario is we have to call a special meeting sometime between now and the next board meeting in order to get this completed.
Okay, and then that way, because we respect your opinion, and like I said, you can add on the second part and let Rebecca Burke know about what we're thinking. We just need to know the best way to word it. That's all. Because we already know what we want. We're just not sure how we want to word it or how,
Sure.
so.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, with that, the last things that I'll end with are positive things. So our basketball season originally was supposed to come to an end with a tournament this past weekend, but we had last minute reschedule for today. That's probably why one of our board members was in and out. I know her kiddo was playing, and I apologize for not getting that information out. That's definitely on my shoulders. And we were able to also reschedule for another game, a tournament that'll start on Thursday, and this should wrap up our basketball season. But I'm happy to report that our kiddos, our boys, our fourth and fifth grade boys ended up getting third place this past weekend at the Santa Ana basketball tournament. So we're really proud of our kiddos, and they brought what they were telling me is the first trophy in 3 or 4 years back to our school. So, yeah,
Great, that's
we're
great.
getting this thing back on track, and we're coming back to the winning pedigree that San Diego Riverside is known for. So we added some more hardware to the collection.
That's great. Because I
Yeah,
just got a message today that said that from a parent. Did anyone tell you that third and fourth grade won the championship trophy over the weekend, the boys basketball? I was like, no, I had no idea. So they're like, great. So yeah, I'm glad you said that to everybody. Yes.
Yeah, and I'll make sure. I know there's a concern with
Mhm.
information and stuff. Typically, I'm
Yeah.
looking at this from my experience as a board member and how my head administrator reports to me.
Mhm.
And so, again, I just want to make sure if there are things that's really the only thing that I could communicate outside of parent-teacher conferences. We won't probably move forward with track and field for the school. There's club, and I think we should just take that off anybody's plate now and let them do their club. But
Mhm.
to touch on the behavior really quickly, we do have a restorative justice process that we're bringing back to the school. I've never personally believed as a teacher or as an educator that when a student does something wrong, we give them a 3 to 5 day vacation. And we send them home. And so, doing the restorative cycle is something that is important for us to work with our students. We want to be problem solvers. We don't want to perpetuate the problem or not give them accountability. And so, to the parents that were really concerned about not having consequences, there are consequences. Two students were sent home for what we call a reset. We do not call them a suspension. We give them the opportunity to go home and finish the work that they need to complete and really think about what they need to do to come back better. In the event that we continue to have issues, then we start a behavioral contract with them, and if they don't meet those conditions, there can be some severe consequences, including expulsion. We only have 8 weeks to go, and so our job as an educational institution is to ensure that every single kiddo is in school learning. It will not benefit anybody from having those students unaccounted for and out running about because they're still our priority and they're part of our community. And so we did send some students on a reset. And other students are going to be completing community engagement in the coming weeks. We're doing check-ins. We're in constant collaboration and communication with parents. But the traditional way of discipline didn't work for me, didn't work for the students that I served, and we have to go out a different route. And now we have the support from the governing tribe, the tribal council, and the Viscalis, and I'm really excited to see what kind of a new program we can create to support our students that are having behavior issues. Keeping in mind, I know when I got there, they said that they had some severe issues prior to me getting there. A lot of these items were not documented, so I can't uphold students. I look at it from a police officer standpoint. I can't hold students accountable if the documentation isn't there or if I don't see it. Anything that comes and reports to me is hearsay. We report it, we investigate it, but unless we find something, we can't really go after people for that stuff. And so I was able to find some things on two students, and that's why we approached that the way we did. And yeah, we're trying to work with our students for rehabilitation so that they can finish off this school year strong.
Thank you for that. We needed to, yeah, we need to get through this school year for sure. Yeah, so appreciate that. Anybody have any questions for uh, Mr. Lovato on his principal's report or any other thing that they want to ask about, talk about in his principal report?
I just want to thank you, Mr. Lovato. Thank you for your hard work and looking for different types of answers that will bring good education information to our kids. This has been needed for a long, long time. I like your energy, your your vision to bring new things to our school and to our community. And like I told you, I've been with the governor's staff for a number of years, and they were really, really impressed. I can tell you that. I don't see that often, but they were really happy. They were happy to sit down with you, and they want to meet with you again because they like the energy, the direction, the ideas. They like that. They like that not only for school but the whole community. You know, the whole community needs to be on that wagon of support. So it's a good start. So I look forward to better things coming, and just your how would I say it? Your expertise and your professionalism, and along with Angie and the K-12, you know, it's a teamwork, and it feels good that Riverside has a good foundation like that. So it makes me feel good as a school board and as a tribal representative too. So thank you, everybody, for your support for our children. Thank you.
David, thank you, and thank you, Margie and LaDonna, and now Patrick joining our board. Thank you all for the support. Kiani, I know she's not here, and who else am I missing there? Miss Baca,
Susan, yeah, Susan
thank you
dropping in
all
and out, yeah.
yeah, thank you all for believing in me, and really, again, just got to echo the same thing. Angie and Aaron joining the team. Thank you for the continued support. I know we had a lot of work to do, and we're coming towards the finish line. But you know, I don't work alone. All the folks that are on this call right now, you're part of the larger team that's helped not just me, but our school get in the right direction. So I'm excited, and I appreciate all the love and support. So thank you.
Mhm.
Hey,
Thank you
I
for
have
all you
a,
did for all the work.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, good evening, everybody. Sorry I was in and out, like Mr. Lovato had said. I was at the game. The students, the third and fourth grade, won a game tonight, so that was really exciting. So the fifth and sixth graders had a good game too, a very close game. They went into overtime, so that was pretty exciting, but they lost it at the end. So anyway, just wanted to let you guys know what happened tonight with that. And also, I just wanted to ask if maybe I didn't hear if when you were talking about the Fiscalis or the governors even, were they able to come down to the school to have a little chat with the students?
Yeah, so we only met with the governors last week. That was more introductory. But the Fiscalis will be utilized moving forward. I was introduced to two of them 2 weeks ago, and just kind of planning out what their availability is. And so we'll be utilizing them for motivational talks, for extra support as they're available, and really for disciplinary issues. And so that's part of the community engagement. I'm just trying to make sure I write this in our plan. One of the students isn't from the Pueblo, and I don't feel like it's going to resonate or be very beneficial for that individual to meet with the Viscali. And I've already met with those parents, but the other student definitely will. And so we're going to be able to try to connect with them in the next few days, hopefully. If not, definitely before next weekend or next week, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. I'm I apologize to Patrick for being on his first meeting and so long. I'm so sorry. We just had so
No.
much to cover. So thank you for being with us. And I really appreciate you, Angie and Aaron, staying on with us because you could have left a long time ago when you finished your financials. So we thank you for your input. We thank you for listening into us, just so that you all know what we're facing in our in our charter school. So thank you for listening in and staying on board online. So I do appreciate all of you for being
And
here.
then just real quick, Margie and Patrick, there are some documents that you have to sign to get him on the board.
Mhm.
I will talk to Joe Dan about what they are. I know how to do them, so I can help you guys out on making sure we get all that done.
Okay, good.
But
Yeah,
there is
'cause
a timeline. We do have to submit it 31 days, no later than 31 days from today. So we have to submit it before April 25th.
Okay, so we can probably work on it within the next week or so if
They
Patrick's
can all be
available.
e-docu-signed as well, so it should be pretty easy.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you to the board for voting in our new board member. It's going to help us out. The only thing is, I believe also if Joe Dan or Angie could let me know, maybe Teresa Archuleta, our mentor, and Diego Gallegos might have mentioned this before. That changes our dynamics a little bit. So we had like 5 board members, 3 were a quorum. Now we have 6. It's 4 that's a quorum. Is that correct?
How many board members do you currently have?
We have 5 right now, and then 3 were a quorum, but then we added Patrick tonight. We're gonna have 6 board members now.
Quorum is just, it's just over half, so
So
you
it
have
has to be
5.
4.
So
No,
it'd
we're
be
gonna have 6 with Patrick, so it's gonna
6.
be 4,
Oh, 4.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to clarify. So anybody who can't make the board meeting, just to let you all know, we have to have 4, at least 4 online or in the meeting to have a quorum from here on out, because we have 6 board members now. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. And if we can move on to the next item on the agenda, which is announcements. And the next meeting is scheduled for the second Thursday of the month, which is April 10th. And like Jordan had mentioned, that's barely like 2 weeks and 2 days away. So it won't be as long, but if you have anything that you're thinking about that you forgot to ask or say today, whatever, if you can write it down. Jordan and I had talked earlier today about a special board meeting. Do we need a special board meeting in between now and April 10th, or are we just going to wait till April 10th?
Yeah, as of right now, I think we're good to go. I'll check in with the PEC, like I said, with Commissioner Burt, and if they want something faster, then I'll let you know by the end of this week.
Okay, great. All right. So just a real quick, maybe 10 to 20-minute meeting if we have to approve something right away. All right. So that's it for the announcements. The next item on the agenda is meeting adjournment. So just need a motion and a second to adjourn this meeting at 8:32 p.m. So anybody on the board can make that motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Okay, Patrick Segur made a motion to adjourn this meeting at 8:32 p.m. Do I have a second?
Second it.
David Toledo, second. Also, we'll go around. All in favor. David, are you in favor?
Yes, I am.
LaDonna Sando, you in favor? Oh, she's probably left again. Margie Krill, I'm in favor. Patrick Segura,
I'm in favor.
my favor. So we're all in favor. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody. Yes.
Th-
Have a
Thank
good
you all. Have a great night.